Hi, I'm Richard Groner. I am the course mentor and I was also the instructional designer for the current revision of the online statewide version of COM 101 Fundamentals of Public Speaking. I wanted to welcome you to the new semester. I know it was really hot outside. I know I came in this morning. I was just in Orlando 2 days ago, and I came in this morning, and the humidity and the heat were just as bad as it was when I was in Orlando. And I thought, good Lord, it's still summer. But the fall semester starts next week. Halloween is just around the corner. And I wanted to take a minute and welcome you to the fall semester, welcome you back to the course. I know some of you taught over the summer. COM 101 statewide, and some of you are going to encounter the newly revised course for the first time this semester. So I wanted to go over some of the changes that have happened within the course, go over some of the new functions within the course, and just kind of help get you started for a good, successful semester. So back in February, the decision was made to change the online course from the McGraw-Hill text that we had been using to the publicspeakingproject.org text, which is an online educational resource text that's provided free. And the curriculum committee met, and after a lot of discussion decided to make the switch. One of the big advantages to doing that is the book itself is now free. So students don't have to go buy a textbook, they don't have to buy an access key, they don't have to have anything like that. The text is actually provided within the course, and so that makes us a better option for students who are actually shopping for a public speaking course. When they look at ours compared to other colleges and universities, they'll see that ours has a little bit of a lower cost because we have a free text included in the book. They pay $10 for the Lumen platform access, and that's it, as opposed to, whatever the course textbook was for the McGraw-Hill book or Sage or whoever else they had used. So that's one of the big advantages to having the course, is it's now a lower cost to students. The other big advantage is everything is now included in the Canvas shell, so you don't have to have third-party access, you don't have to have the access key, you don't have to leave the Canvas shell for Ivy Tech in order to do anything for the course. It's all built right there. So what we have done is the publicspeakingproject.org textbook was adapted several years ago by Lumen, who is the company that we use for all OER courses for Ivy Tech. And Lumen created a Canvas shell for the publicspeakingproject.org text. And so that was available to us all this time. And we, last spring semester, incorporated that textbook into the course. So what you will see is a course laid out in 8 modules. And each one of the modules, when you go in, you'll see learning activities. And the first thing you'll see is the text from the Lumen OER platform for that particular subject. So in the first one, for example, it talks about communication. It talks about the fear of public speaking. It talks about ethics. All of those chapters are embedded in the learning activities for that module. That's the first thing you see. And then right below that, you will see the assignments. So you'll see whatever homework type assignments there are. Then you will see the speech assignment. Then you will see the discussion board assignment. And then you will see the quiz. So every module is laid out exactly the same. And the textbook material that the students need for each module is included in that module. So that's a nice advantage. When you go in and look at it, you'll see that under learning activities, it's separated out into sections. Lumen tried to match the text as much as possible to the sections that were in the actual textbook. And that way, when the student goes in to read, they can read up to a certain point and say they need to stop for some reason. They don't have to sift through all of that again. They can just go to where they left off and go right back into the textbook and continue reading. So that's one of the biggest changes that happened as a result of the redesign. Some of the other things you'll notice, we still have 8 discussion boards as we did in the spring version of the course. Some of those discussion boards are now different, but they are all there and they operate just like all discussion boards do. There's some other changes to that I'll talk about in a minute. One of the other major changes we made was we eliminated the midterm exam and the final exam, and instead put in a module exam for each module. So there are 8 quizzes, 1 per module, each week of the course. Those quizzes were brought over by Lumen from the publicspeakingproject.org. They pull from test banks that the publicspeakingproject.org had developed in relationship to the text. So the test banks pull directly and match the material for that particular module. And what's nice about, and I'm sure most of you have already encountered this with test banks, what's nice about test banks, there's 50, 60 questions in there. The quizzes are set up and they pull randomly from those test banks. So this one student will see one set of questions, another student might see a completely different set of questions. Some may be the same, some not. It's a very nice option to have in the system, and it's all tied together similarly to the way it worked when we were using McGraw-Hill's platform. So that's all built in. Right now the quizzes are timed, and you have access to the quiz once. But as we talk about later on in this video, you can change that if you should choose to want to change that. But that's one of the bigger changes. Is we went from 2 exams, a midterm and a final, to having 8 module quizzes, 1 each module due at the end of the module. The other unique thing, and maybe unique to this particular course, because we had a lot of discussion about this back in February and March about doing it, but you still have 4 major speeches and 3 minor speeches. But with the minor speeches, we added some flexibility for the instructor. So in Module 2, you will see what we used to have as the leisure time mini speech. You will also see a self-introduction speech. Both of those speeches are loaded into Module 2. The intent at the time was to release the course with neither of those speeches published, so that as an instructor you could decide, I want my students to do the leisure time mini speech, or perhaps I want my students to do the self-introduction speech. You could pick which one of those you wanted them to do, publish that particular speech assignment only, not publish the other one. Your grade book and everything would set up fine. Your students would only see the one you wanted them to do. That way, when we had the discussion with the curriculum committee, some people liked the leisure time speech, some people didn't. Some people liked the idea of having a self-introduction speech, others didn't. I brought up the idea of having the flexibility of picking one or the other. Both speeches are worth 25 points. They both have, I think, the same rubric. They have very similar rubrics to each other. And by allowing some flexibility, the instructor could then customize and pick which one of the speeches they wanted their students to do. Another nice thing about that option is, if you choose to do it, you can publish both speeches and change the assignment instructions slightly so that the student gets to pick whether they do a leisure time mini speech or they do a self-introduction speech. Now, that does require one additional thing for an instructor to do after they've all been turned in. You'll have to go into the grade book, and if you had 10 students, granted we have way more than that now, but if you had 10 students, 5 picked leisure time and 5 picked self-introduction, you'd have to go into the leisure time assignment and change the assignment to it only applying to those who did that speech, and then do the same thing with the self-introduction speech so that the grading matches up. It's not a major deal. We haven't had anybody choose that option yet. I may do it this semester. I'm still thinking about it. But if you are someone who wants to let the student pick it and you're a little unsure about the grading, when you get to that point, shoot me an email. We can set up, I can either send you instructions via email, I can set up a Zoom meeting with you, and help you through how to make the changes so that works if you want to give your students the opportunity to do that. I was a Canvas super user prior to Canvas coming in. I'm very familiar with it, and I'll be happy to guide you through that should any of you decide you would like to have students pick which speech in Module 2 they want to do. So that's a nice flexible option. You can pick either speech, let them pick what speech they want to do, whatever you want to do flexibility wise. Those options are in there for the course, and that's a nice little thing to have. As I said, the modules are consistent from module to module, and they flow almost identically down through the modules. There are a few where they don't have as many homework assignments, but it's pretty much the same. Another thing we added, we had some feedback that students weren't doing peer reviews very well. They either weren't sure what type of information to do in a peer review, or they were afraid of saying things that might hurt the feelings of the person they were reviewing, that kind of thing. So we had instructions before, but I made a video as well on how to do a peer review. So when they get to the very first peer review assignment, there'll be a link there that takes them to the video that talks about what they need to do a good peer review, what type of information is expected, positive comments, negative comments, all that sort of thing. So that's covered in that as well. We also changed to where we now use, since we don't have the McGraw-Hill platform for submitting speeches, we changed it to all of the students use the Google Drive that Ivy Tech gives them when they become students. So every single student gets the same package. They get the Canvas package. It includes Ivy Tech Google Drive. And as long as they are in their Ivy Tech Google Drive, they can go to the guidelines for recording and submitting speeches and follow the steps, and it tells you how to submit a speech just like it used to. And you have to have that Ivy Tech logo in the upper right corner. We also added a video that walks the student through how to do that. So they actually, in the video, watch me. They don't watch me record the speech, but they watch me take a speech and an outline, create the folder, make it shareable, drop the speech in there, drop the outline in there, and then it walks them through how to submit it so that the instructor, when they go in to grade it, can see the outlines and can see the speech. If they do it properly, the way the video shows them, or the instructions either way or both, then there shouldn't be any issues. We did run this over the summer, and a few people had problems, but in all those cases, people were not following the instructions as they should be. So we had people who would save it to a non-Ivy Tech Google Drive, which that does not work. Or we had students who would open a folder and drop a speech into the folder and make a clickable, shareable link out of the speech, but not out of the folder, so then the instructor could see the speech but not the outline. And so those are things you'll have to maybe address with the particular students if they come up. But for the most part, it's a lot easier to follow. I taught 2 sections over the summer of this course, and I only had one student that had a problem getting an understanding of how to do it, and they were going in and sharing the individual things instead of sharing the folder, and we got that sorted out and it went away. So that's a couple of things that have really helped. Another thing we changed was in the previous version of the course, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier when I talked about discussion boards. It used to be that one of the discussion boards you submitted your topic for your informative speech, and another one of the discussion boards you submitted your persuasive topic. We took that out of the discussion boards. So that is now a separate assignment. Each one of them is a separate assignment. They are ungraded assignments. So when they get to the module where it says submit your informative speech topic, it's there as a to-do item. They have to click on it, read the instructions, submit their topic. The instructor will have to go into the grade book, just like they would on a normal grading thing, and either approve or not approve the subject matter for the particular speech. And in the instructions for that ungraded assignment, it says failure to submit a topic for approval and getting approval prior to submitting your speech could result in a fail for the assignment. So the possibility is there that they can submit their speeches, you can approve or not approve them as you wish. They still do that, they just do it outside of the discussion board so that we can put more learning material in the discussion board since there's only 8 of them. And they then can get approval on their speeches, and you have an out if you find one submits a speech, they give it, and you're like, I never approved that topic, I never would have approved that topic. There's a line in there that says, hey, you didn't get approval, you get an F for that assignment. You also, as we'll talk about in a little bit later, you have the option to not make that a thing. You don't have to require the approval of the topic in order to pass the class. You could even unpublish those ungraded assignments if you wish, and just let them submit whatever speech on whatever topic they want to. We had some instructors that didn't mind doing that. We had others that had certain topics they didn't want to have in speeches. It now sort of has the flexibility in there to do it, but it is built in right now that they would submit their speech topic. You would go in and approve it or not, and then the following week they would submit that particular speech. So that's in there as well. On the instructor guides, there is an instructor or a mentor contact page, and the phone number that's listed in there is now incorrect, and the course was released before I got a chance to fix it. So my phone number here in Bloomington is 812-330-6296. I believe I have 9296 or something like that in the mentor page. Ignore that. But it is at the end of the announcement that this video is attached to, and it will be at any of the information I send out will have my phone number in there as well. Honestly, getting a hold of me is a lot better if you email me than if you call me on the phone. I'm not in my office that much, but I check my email all the time, whether I'm on campus, whether I'm home, whether it's the weekend, nights, I don't care. I check my email probably no more than every 4 or 5 hours. I do have a bad habit of sleeping, so sometimes it's 6 hours. But when I get up, one of the first things I do is check email to see if any students have any questions. So if you run into something, email me and I will respond super quick. I had a lot of information come in over the summer with instructors when they'd run into a problem. I had one who apparently liked to grade about 11 o'clock at night. And whenever they had a question, they would email me, and they would be surprised when I'd get an email at 12:30 at night, and I'd respond right back, 5 minutes later, and they weren't expecting me to do that. So I'm very accessible through email, but if you do need to call me, you can call me at 812-330-6296. Also, in the course, there is under Instructor Resources, there is a link for an instructor video message. That is a dead link now. It's been removed from the master as well. Instructional Design released the course last week and went in and pulled all that stuff out, and they didn't know that was in the Instructor Resources pages, so they didn't catch to pull it out. And I've now pulled it out of the master for next semester. But for this semester, if you were to click on it, it doesn't go anywhere. And we've already gotten a couple of course reports that is a failed link, and we know that. So just ignore it. It doesn't affect the course content at all, and it will be gone in the next release of the course. And instead, I have put all of my information in the mentor contact page, which will be updated for the next course. And this video actually replaces what that link used to be. The original intent was to have it always carry with the course, but it makes more sense to update it every single semester, so that's what we're going to do. And lastly, there was a big change last spring. The college changed ASOM 7.5.2, which is the rule that governs what we can change on statewide courses. And so you have a lot more flexibility now on statewide courses than you did prior to the beginning of summer semester. So you're actually encouraged to add personalized content if you want to. Go in and add a video at the beginning of each week that talks about this coming week's material and what's being covered, and you can do like a mini video lecture for your students, or submit a letter at the top of the page. You can go and just hit edit and type in a message to the students at the beginning of each week. I actually have started using a thing called Pages. I'm still playing with it, but I've been using it in my face-to-face classes, and I tried it over the summer. I'm going to do it again this semester. So instead of seeing the module homepage that we normally see where all the modules are there, I go in and change the homepage every week and specifically address that particular week's information. ASOM 7.5.2 actually allows us and encourages us to do it. So Ivy Online wants you to add some personality to those particular courses. You're also free to go in and add additional, say you have a speech video of something that works really well in your face-to-face classes and you'd like to include that, you can go in and include it, add it as an additional page, add it at the top of your home page. Hey, this week, check out this video, whatever you want to do. You're actually encouraged to do that, so you can add video messages, notes, additional material. You can't take any of the assignments out, and you cannot change the point value for the assignments that are in the course, but you can pretty much adjust the rest of the stuff the way you want to the point that right now each one of the speeches has rubrics tied to it. It's the same rubrics pretty much as we used in the previous version of the course. All of those rubrics are tied so that if you decided you wanted to use the standard course rubric, you just go in and open the rubric when you're ready to grade it and click all of the things, and it totals it up and it puts it up in the grade thing. Because of the ASOM change, you can decide to use your own rubric and ignore the rubric that's included with the course. There was a lot of discussion back in the curriculum committee when we were talking about changes to the course that some instructors had like to place more emphasis on outlining and how the outline formats and what the content and whether it's correctly formatted and the speaking outline and the preparation outline match what is in the book. And by the way, there are templates for the preparation outline and the speaking outline in the chapter from the Lumen text that have been included, so you can actually, your students will actually see a representation of what those should look like. And different instructors place different emphasis on how much of an impact that should have on the speech grade. So what's nice with the ASOM change is if you're someone who wants to put 40% emphasis on the outlines, use your own rubric and do that. Be sure to include the rubric or an attachment, attach the rubric to the assignment in a file so that the students know they're being judged by a different thing than what's laid out in the course, and that's perfectly fine. Or if you want to, you can just use the rubrics that are tied to the speeches. So there's some very nice things that ASOM change does that are pretty helpful in helping you build a more personal rapport with your different students. That's about it for the changes. I do want to say that I look forward to any input that you have on the course. This is, like I said, this is the second time we've gone through. We found a few hiccups over the summer that have been addressed in the shell. And content-wise, I'm not aware of anything that doesn't gel right now. But if you run across something, send me an email, fill out a course report, you can call me, whatever, and I will do my best to help you through. As I said, I was a Canvas super user, so I'm very Canvas knowledgeable as well. And I also look forward to input on, hey, I've got an assignment that I think would be a great assignment for this particular course. We're always looking for more assignments or better assignments than what we have in there. This isn't my course, this is our course as a group of instructors, and I'm sort of right now the babysitter. So if you have stuff that you think might work better in the course, let me know. I can submit it to instructional design, I can submit it to the curriculum committee. We can hash it out and decide what they want to do and then make the changes accordingly. So the more information we share to better the course, the better off it is for our students, which of course is our overall goal. So I look forward to that kind of stuff too, and as I said, I'm always here to help if you have questions. So I hope you have an excellent summer. I hope you survive this heat that's out there right now, and keep in mind the cool is coming, and I look forward to hearing from you as the semester progresses. Thanks a lot and good luck.